And today I'm going to showcase how to install a Rhino Resin Bound surface which is perfect for creating driveways, pathways and commercial spaces. It's a product that's quickly growing in popularity due to its stunning looks, environmentally friendly credentials, and its permeability, so no more pesky puddles. We've been installing since 2008, and here's a list of tools and equipment that we've been using over the years in order to complete the job at hand. Got all that? Good. Let's dive into step 1. With any Rhino install, a full dig out takes place of the marked area to remove any old surfaces that could be unstable or damaged. The excavation of the area takes place to a depth of between 200 and 300 mil, and that's depending on the ground conditions and the use of the surface. We do this to ensure that the surface that we're laying on is even, along with free from debris and organic matter too. Once the dig out is complete, a decorative block edging is placed in order to provide a stable edge and a border that complements the surface. Now, block edging does come in a variety of different colours, which are selected by customers before the install takes place, along with the colour of course, which can be done in our showroom. But what's critical here is that any resin bound surface is only as good as the base that it's laid on, so let's start there. The sub-base is a 3-part process, which starts with laying a non-woven geotextile membrane. It's used to separate the layers of soil from the layers above, preventing the intermixing of fines in order to aid the performance of the sub-base and the base. Now, there is a drainage characteristic to this membrane, which means that the material used is porous and therefore water can drain through it quite easily, which means that the Rhino surface, once it's laid, remains fully permeable. Thereafter, in order to help reinforce a surface, a ground reinforcement grid is installed. It's commonly used in road construction to prevent deformities and ensure the structural integrity of a surface. This substantially expands the lifespan of any Rhino install, and it allows us to place a guarantee on our workmanship and our product. And then finally, a sub-base of 150 to 250 mil of MOT Type 1 hardcore is laid and compacted critically in 100 mil layers. This is to ensure a fully compacted surface ready for the Rhino resin surface to be laid on. Now, a top tip: once compacted, the Type 1 hardcore base is 20% stronger than the Type 3 base, which is why Rhino uses it to guarantee the strength and longevity of a surface. I'm probably going to butcher this next bit, but the final layer is a styrene butadiene rubber and granite mix, which is something that we more formally call at Rhino as Rhino Rubber Crumb, because it's a little bit more simplistic. Now, this Rhino Rubber Crumb mix is actually made up of recycled car tyres with granite stone and a resin binder. This is then troweled down at a 40 to 50 mil depth, which gives us a completely smooth surface, which then allows the final resin bound product to be laid on. Now, one of the benefits of Rubber Crumb is that it has flexible characteristics, meaning it helps resist ground movement, along with preventing any risks of reflective cracks caused by any deep ground movement that's taken place below the sub base. And here's a fun fact for you: roughly 200 recycled car tyres are used for an average 45 square meter Rubber Crumb base, therefore giving the Rhino Rubber Crumb base environmental credentials like no other. It's now time to begin the favourite bit, which is the install. Only using the finest quality Rhino resin and aggregates that we obtain from UK quarries, a Rhino mix can begin. Today our customer requested the cappuccino blend, and trust me, that looks as good as your morning coffee feels. But there are over 60 natural stone colours available to choose from, and I'll leave all the relevant links down in the description below. But before we do anything, the first thing that we need to do is check our weather forecast to ensure that no rain is due during the time of the install, and to also ensure that the air temperature is within the correct range to ensure that an install can take place. Now, we typically use the Met Office forecast as opposed to the iPhone weather app because that can be somewhat temperamental and has caught us out in the past. But once you're all happy, the mixes can then be organised and the mixing process can begin. There's a 4-part component to each mix. First up, you've got 4 bags of 25 kilogram natural stone. You've got a 7.5 kilogram Rhino resin kit made up of resin and hardener, and 4 kilograms of binding quartz. This is the mix that bonds all of the resin and the aggregates together in a forced action mixer. And this mix should take place for about 3 to 4 minutes to ensure an even distribution of resin and a somewhat consistency in the resin and aggregates mix. Once your mix is complete, you can then start to distribute it on the surface and the troweling can take place. Now, whilst the person who's on troweling duty gets on with his bit, the person who's on mixing duty then has another job at hand. And that job is everybody's least favourite job, but it's to clean the mixer. Now, the reason why you clean the mixer between mixes is because the resin will permanently bond to that steel drum of your forced action mixer. And believe you me, it's an absolute nightmare to clean after a job if you leave it an hour or two after the install has taken place and think you'll just tackle it back at the yard. So clean between mixes because it'll make your life a hell of a lot easier. The mix then gets deposited onto the surface, spread using a lute or spazzle. It's then troweled down at a depth of 20mm by one of our experienced installers in order to create an even finish. We also use white spirit and trowel lube to wipe over the trowel during the install process in order to ensure that the trowel can glide smoothly over the surface to give a neater and a tighter finish. Now as the install progresses and the resin starts to cure, we also sprinkle a fine crushed glass onto the surface in order to ensure that the surface remains slip resistant. Thereafter, once the install is complete, it takes about 5 hours before any foot traffic is allowed onto the surface, and we recommend about 24 hours before any vehicles drive on it, leaving you with a stunning Rhino Resin Bound surface ready to enjoy. Now if you would like more information on installs, trade suppliers or even franchising, then be sure to visit www.rhinosurfaces.co.uk. But before you go, be sure to subscribe to the channel on your way out. As well, let me know down in the comments what other resin bound content that you guys would like to see.